on Kansas, just 4-4 in quadrant one now. After being preseason number one in the AP poll, they also have a quadrant two loss, and they've lost twice at home. None of this is normal for Kansas. They look like the classic good but not great team. Still top 10 in most computers. But how many times this year have you watched Kansas play and been like, I think that's a team that can win the national championship? How many times have you thought that while watching them?
Very few times.
Yeah.
Very few times recently. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. And you're supposed to be able to think that about a preseason number one that is still in the top 10 at most computers. You should still, that thought should still pop into your head more often than it pops into mine. Mm-hmm. It just looks like a team that is clearly good, has great pieces and a great coach, or really good pieces and a great coach, but I don't know if the pieces fit. And some of this is, AJ Storr is somebody they spent a lot of money on, I'm assuming. I mean, he was the leading scorer at a Big Ten program last season that made the NCAA tournament. I don't think that comes to Kansas for free. And he's just been bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, last season he averaged 16.8 points per game. This season it's down to 6.6. Shooting percentages down across the board. He's 0 of 6 from the field in 18 minutes yesterday in the loss to Houston. So this is a guy who has gone from starting and leading an NCAA tournament team and scoring to 1 year later is coming off the bench and not doing much. Percentages down from the field, 3-point line, and free throw line. Thinking about this, how much money was spent in the state of Kansas on Coleman Hawkins and AJ Storr to get this little in return? Storr's a bad player on a good team, and Hawkins is a whatever player on a team that's, nice win this weekend, but still just 2-6 in the Big 12.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, this is, you can't miss. When you go out and get a big name in the portal, you have to hit on those guys. And AJ Storr, I think good player historically, just maybe a bad fit with this Kansas team. And 18 minutes, as you mentioned yesterday, but really not productive. 0 points on 6 shots. And that has been the case for most of the season. This is not like a surprise. He has mostly played his way out of favor with Kansas. And, Shaq Moore's getting some minutes. Zeke Mayo has really kind of been the only guy that they've been able to consistently rely on that they got out of the transfer portal. Rylan Griffin did have a big day yesterday, hit 5 3-pointers, and that was better than kind of we've come to expect from Griffin. But they're really just they have not completely hit on the transfer portal class in a way that people thought and projected that they would. And when you miss out on several guys, and particularly with Storr, who was kind of the high profile name, it hurts you. It hurts you in a real way. And yeah, this is clearly not the preseason number one team that people thought it was coming into the year. They had some early wins that looked encouraging. They beat North Carolina, they beat Duke. But since then they have just kind of been hit or miss, and definitely not the team that I think many people expected that we would see from Kansas and Bill Self this season.
Yeah, I think you'll remember at the end of last season, Bill was talking about a lack of depth and how he was already thinking about next season, and he was never going to find himself in this situation again. And then they went out and they built a roster that I thought was preseason number one. AP voters thought was preseason number one. And then they would add to it. Mm-hmm. It'd be like, okay, Kansas number one. Oh, well, now they're going to go out and get another dude. Whoa, okay, they are really – fast forward to today. Marco Jackson was hurt in the preseason. KJ Adams is hurt right now. And AJ Storr can't play.
Yep.
So now it's not nearly what it was last season when they were struggling with depth problems, but the team we thought you had on paper is not really the team you have right now. The team we thought you had on paper at one point was like Marco Jackson, former 5-star, sophomore. Maybe there's a breakthrough there. AJ Storr, leading scorer on a Big Ten team. Okay. KJ Adams, just role player, but still. Well, he's hurt. And even before he was hurt, I know there's some advanced stuff that suggests he is important on the court, but like in terms of traditional stats, not a lot there. And Kansas fans, he drives them crazy. I do radio in Kansas City every Tuesday. I don't want to say they can't stand it. That sounds mean. They don't love him as much as, they would like to. And now AJ Storr is giving you nothing. Quite literally yesterday, basically nothing. So, that's how you go from being the team everybody thinks can cut nets in San Antonio to being one less people think can cut nets in San Antonio. As always, we'll see, but they don't look right. Now, keep in mind, they were also up 6. We could be talking about Kansas coming off of a win over Houston. We should be talking about that, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, that's what we should be talking about. They were up 6 with 8 seconds left. So, probably not as bad as I just made it sound for 5 minutes, but you get the point.